All right, we're back with another Math Mini lesson. All right, boys and girls, this is Miss Belcher again. And our last lesson is really all connected to this lesson. Because in the last lesson, we learned about one more and one less, okay? And so in this lesson, we're going to use what we already know about more and less to help us with some bigger numbers, okay? Remember on our last lesson, we talked about more means you are counting on or you're counting forward. So if I have the number 5 and I want to do one more than 5, I need to count forward. So what number comes after 5? 6. Okay, the same thing if I wanted to do less. If I had the number 5 and I want to see what number is one less than 5, I need to do just like my arrow is telling me and go back jack. What number comes before 5? Well, 4, okay? Now, we've been talking about tens and ones, and so we know that tens and ones are all connected to help us make digits. And I have a double digit or a 2-number digit right here. What number is this, boys and girls? Yeah, it's the number 35, okay? Now, remember we talked about this number, this 2-number digit consists of tens and ones, okay? We don't have any hundreds because this is not a 3-digit number. We'll get into that later. But this is a 2-number digit. So a 2-number digit has tens and ones. And remember we talked about that the tens, if you're working with the 2-number digit, the tens comes first and the ones come second. Okay, so I'm going to go back over that song that we talked about, okay? The first one is the tens, the second one is the ones. You put it all together, you got tens and ones. Tens, tens, ones, ones. I got my tens, tens, ones, ones. You put it all together and you have a double digit. So just like the song says, let's look at this number to see how many tens we have and ones. So the number is 35. The song says the first one is the tens. So boys and girls, how many tens are in the number 35? The first one is the tens. Yep, there are 3 tens. Now, remember we talked about, boys and girls, we know that a 10 could be a 10 frame, but we don't have enough room and space to write 3 filled 10 frames. We learned the other day that another way to do a 10 or to draw a 10 is to do a line. Now, we talked about a base 10. We could do 10 squares, but as we said, for just the saving of time, instead of doing that, we are going to do lines. So this number 35, this 2-number digit, 35 has 3 tens. So I'm going to draw 3 tens. Remember, that means I'm going to draw a line. 1, 2, 3. And remember, we don't say that that's lines. Those are 3 tens. Those lines stand for a 10, okay? Now, let's see how many ones there are, okay? Let's see. The first one is the tens. The second one is the ones. So let's see how many ones are there. 5, because ones, if it's a 2-number digit, it's going to be the second number. Now, remember, boys and girls, when we write or draw our ones, we are going to do little squares. Now, if as you're going, you can do squares. Sometimes you'll also see Miss Belcher do circles. So it's okay. Squares or circles, it doesn't matter, but make sure that when you do them, they are separate because ones are just by themselves, okay? So I'm just going to do, let's say I'm just going to do circles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 3 10s and 5 1s. And remember, like our song says, if we put them together, 3 and 5, we get the number 35. We're not adding 3 and 5. We're just kind of smushing these two numbers together. Now, we're going to use what we know about more and less to do something a little bit harder, okay? Instead of us talking about one more, since we're talking about 10s and 1s, guess what? We're going to use this, what we already know, to talk about 10 more and 10 less, okay? Now, let's take it one step at a time, and I'm going to give you a little secret. Are you ready for my secret? Okay? When we're trying to figure out 10 more and 10 less, you only have to look at a certain number. So I'm going to kind of get my little, another color. Let's do a yellow because I've got blue. So let's do yellow for Beauregard colors, okay? So let's see. I want to see what's going to be my new number if I do 10 less and 10 more, okay? So let's just start it one time and let's just take it one step at a time. Let's do more first, okay? Now, the only number that we're going to have to look at is the 10s. Because when you're trying to look at 10 more and 10 less, the 10 is the only number that does all the changing, and the 5 stays the same, okay? So let's think about this. We want to do 10 more. So let's think about this. We know that this is a 10. 35 has 3 10s. 1, 2, 3. If I want to see what is 10 more than 35, I'm going to look at my 3. And I'm not just going to add a 1 because 3 is not coming from the 1s. 3 is coming from the 10s. So what would happen if I added 1 more 10? I'm going to use my yellow. How many 10s do I have now? Now I have 4. Now notice, I'm not going to do anything to my 1s because when you're trying to find 10 more and 10 less, the 10s change, but the 1 stays the same. So just like I just changed, I went up. Just like we talked about 1 more, that means you're counting on, you're counting forward. That means that 3 goes up to a 4. And then my 5, which is my 1, stays the same. Okay, so only the 10s number change. Now we just did 10 more. Let's do 10 less. I'm going to go ahead and erase what I just did because I wanted to show 35 again. And let's do less, okay? Remember, less means the number is going to get smaller. So let's think about this. What number comes before 3? Yep, 2. Because let's think about it. Less means you're going back. Or I can almost take away a 2 or take away a 10. How many 10s do I have now? I have 2. So when we're doing this, my new number 10s, I don't have 3 10s now. I have 2 10s. And remember, when we're talking about 10 more and 10 less, the 10s are the only number that changes. and the 5 stays the same, or the 1 stays the same. So if you notice these numbers, 2, 3, 4 comes in order, okay? Let's do another one real quick. And we're going to do another one there. And we're going to do the same thing. So more means that number is getting bigger. Less means that number is getting smaller. All right, here's my new number. Let me change it back to blue. Okay, may not be the exact blue, but that's okay. All right, let's do the number 72. That's my number. All right, let's get ready to draw this in tens and ones. The first one is the tens. So how many tens are there, boys and girls? 7. So I'm going to draw 7 tens. And remember that 7 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those lines are my tens, okay? All right, let's see how many ones there are. The first one is the tens. The second one is the ones. How many ones do we have, boys and girls? 2. So I'm just going to do 2 circles. 1, 2. 7 tens, 2 ones makes the number 72. All right, but we're not done. We need to see how many more. We're going to do 10 more and 10 less. So because we said 10 more, we don't need to even look at our ones. Remember which number is the tens, boys and girls? The first one is the tens. So I'm going to circle that. That means the tens number is the only number that's going to change. So let's do more again. Boys and girls, what number comes after 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that 7 went up to an 8, and my 2 stays the same, okay? That's 10 more. So if you notice, just my 10s are changing, my 1s stay the same. Now that we've done 10 more, let's do 10 less, okay? Now, let's think about it. We're back to where the number that we started at. What number comes before 7? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 comes before 7. And remember, since we're talking about 10 more, the only number that's going to change is your 10s, which is the first number. And that 1s stays the same. 62, 72, 82. So these numbers kind of go in order. The first number, which is the tens number, it either went up or it went down, okay? Or it got bigger or it got smaller. But your ones number stayed the same. It stays the same. All right, guys, we're going to practice some more with this at another time. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.